Hello, my friends. The other day I was going through my DMs when I noticed quite a few messages asking for my top recommendations from some popular luxury brands. So I figured, why don't we do a dedicated video on the topic, and I could share with you what pieces I would buy from each luxury brand out there. I pulled a list of brands together that I like, I'm often asked about other than Hermes, and ones that I just simply find noteworthy. And I'll be sharing with you what I do or what I would buy from each one. So if you'd like to hear my ultimate recommendations to luxury fashion, what pieces to buy from which brand, and which pieces are worth your money and which ones are not, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. I obviously realize that we probably won't have time to go through every single luxury brand under the sun in this video, but maybe I'll try to do 6 or 7 here. And then if you guys like this format, let me know in the comments section and I can definitely do a part 2, even a part 3. And also let me know what brands you'd like to hear my thoughts on. But without further ado, let's get into talking about the first brand, which I thought could be one that is quite controversial, at least when it comes to me and how I view this brand, which is going to be Chanel. It's a brand that some seasons I love, other seasons I don't want to see anything from, but I definitely think that over the past couple of years they have become kind of overhyped, especially for the quality, for the designs that they have, and for the kind of prices they charge. It's definitely not a brand that I would turn to necessarily, or if I was thinking of luxury fashion, Chanel is definitely not the first brand that I would go to at this point, even though I think that their aesthetic is still extremely strong. And if you love the Chanel aesthetic, there isn't anything quite like it out there. But what would I buy from Chanel? It probably won't be a surprise if you know my taste and if you know my wardrobe. So let's say together, I would probably get a pair of sneakers. I think the Chanel sneakers are by far the most comfortable luxury sneakers out there, which is quite rare to find. I have this theory that the more expensive the shoes are, the more uncomfortable they're going to be, but Chanel is an exception. Their sneakers are unbelievably comfortable. Most of them are quite flattering, especially the bowling style shoes. At least that's how I see them. The bowling style shoes, which I love from them. I think they just go with anything and everything. They are unbelievably flattering and I just love those. I don't believe that I've seen anything that I like from them this season so far. I saw that they redid some of their more chunky, sporty sneakers that are now covered in the double C, which is definitely not my aesthetic. So don't think that I'm telling you to buy those, but if you find a pair of sneakers that are more simplistic, but still have that Chanel touch, I would definitely say to go for them. Or another piece, if you're thinking about getting something from Chanel, well, I actually have 2 other recommendations for you. And this is the reason why we won't have time to get through every luxury brand, because I just keep thinking of new things. But the 2 things that came to mind that I would buy from Chanel are their so-called O case, I believe it's called, which is just their flat quilted pouch that you can buy in a ton of different finishes, a ton of different colors each season, which obviously you can pick up in the traditional caviar or lambskin from Chanel, but you can also find them in tweed. You can also find them in some of their seasonal prints, and I think they are such fun pieces to have. You can buy small ones to carry inside of other bags, or you can buy larger ones to carry on their own. Or if you're hoping to get a bag from Chanel, I would tell you first of all to buy it pre-loved, which I have just done a video sharing my thoughts on buying things pre-loved, which I would definitely suggest that you check out. But I would definitely go down the route of getting a Chanel bag pre-loved, and I would probably get something in tweed. I don't think the Chanel bags are as special as they once were in leather, but when it comes to tweed or an interesting finish like velvet, there is still something incredibly charming to them. The next brand on our list is Balenciaga, and what would I buy from Balenciaga? Well, I can tell you what not to buy. I wouldn't buy their hourglass bag, which I do not get the hype for that bag. I think it looks so cheap and plasticky. I don't like the over exaggerated curve and the overall shape of the bag. it's just not a bag that I would suggest for anyone to buy. I think it's definitely a trendy piece that you'll get tired of before you can get your money's worth out of it. I would not buy that new shoulder bag that everyone is carrying around. That I don't think is a flattering look. I think some people can pull it off, but it is such a particular look that I would not invest in it unless it is truly your aesthetic. So I would probably say to get their neoclassic bag. I know it's a bag that kind of went out of fashion, but I think it's a timeless classic, and I think it is one of those iconic fashion pieces that if you're into luxury fashion, you'll never get tired of, especially because it is quite a practical, functional shape and style. You can pick it up in tiny itty bitty sizes, or you can go as big as an oversized duffel bag. So that's the piece that I would suggest that you go for. Or if you're thinking of buying ready to wear, I would say try on one of their hourglass jackets, which is really what Balenciaga was known for back in the day. Their hourglass jacket is incredible. It is quite a feminine shape, so if you don't like certain parts of your body being really tapered and others exaggerated, it's not going to work for you. But if you haven't had a chance to look at the hourglass jacket, it's definitely something that I would love to put on your radar. Another brand with a B, which I never thought would be sitting here talking about, at least if you asked me a few years ago, I would have said that this is a brand that's done and it's not going to be around for long, but they've been revived and they have been setting trends for years now, which is the brand Bottega. Obviously, it is a brand that at this point you would think of when you hear the word Bottega or the brand name Bottega. I would assume that you would think of the cassette bag or the pouch, which really single-handedly started trends. But those are not actually the pieces that I would recommend that you buy. If you're going to spend money on Bottega, I would actually suggest that you buy one of their classic pieces, which they have been doing for decades, which is their so-called Kaba tote bag. It's a tote bag that comes in two different sizes. It comes in medium and it comes in a large. There really isn't that big of a difference because they're both oversized large tote bags. I believe one of them is 45 centimeters and then the other is 50. So as you can tell, they are larger bags. But obviously, the larger you go with the width, the larger you'll go in every direction. So you have to go for whichever one suits your proportions. But I feel like it's one of those bags that anyone out there can use in their wardrobe, whether you're someone who wears sweat sets exclusively and you don't wear anything else, or you wear Chanel tweed head to toe. I think this is a bag that you will find a place for in your collection. It's just such an incredibly soft, luxurious yet understated design that I feel like you can use every single day as a work bag, or if you don't have the need for such a large bag, you can use as a travel bag, as a duffel bag, as an overnight bag. It will do it all, and it is incredibly understated, yet there is something just so expensive looking about it. I mean, it is an expensive bag and it features Bottega's so incredibly well-known craftsmanship of basically using one single string of leather to weave it into a large bag in this case, which I think is just amazing to think about. So if you're going to spend money on Bottega, this is the piece that I would suggest that you spend your hard-earned money on. Now, it is an expensive piece. I think it's maybe six, seven, $8,000 if I'm not mistaken, but it is one that you can find on the pre-loved market really easily for an absolute steal because it is not a trendy piece. It's something that has been around for decades. So if this is a bag that you feel like would suit you, if you think that this would fill a gap in your collection, which I have no doubt it would, I would suggest looking on the pre-loved market. And you might be thinking, you know, it's an expensive bag, it's made of leather. I don't know how I would feel about getting a bag that is a little bit more lived in, but I would actually encourage you to get a bag when it comes to this one that has seen better days, just because it's made of leather, it is woven leather, so I feel like it can be a little bit itchy and scratchy against your skin, but the older the bag is, the softer it's going to become. So I think you'd be better off buying a bag that someone has already broken in for you. Moving on to brand number 4, it's going to be one that I have several videos on, which is Cartier. And again, it's a brand that you will need no introduction to, but I actually wouldn't suggest that you buy one of their more popular pieces like the love bracelet, the love ring, or anything from their Just Unclear line either. I would point you in the direction of the Panther, the Cartier range, which I did an entire vlog on. So if you'd like to see the full potential of this range, I'll make sure to have a vlog link down below where I show you pretty much everything that this collection is able to do and has to offer. But if I had to choose just one piece and one piece to recommend to you, I would probably say to buy the Panther pinky ring, which is technically not a pinky ring. That's just how I would personally style it and how I would buy it in terms of the sizing. Obviously, you can put this ring on any one of your fingers, but when it comes to buying it, you will have to choose a size depending on which finger you're going to put it on. But this is a ring that I think would look beautiful as a pinky ring. It beautifully showcases what Cartier as a luxury brand is capable of. It's not just about the hype, but also the exquisite craftsmanship without going overboard. The reason I would suggest that you buy this piece over the other more perhaps loud pieces that they have in this range is because I think this is one that doesn't scream, instead it whispers. What would I buy from Dior? This was quite a hard one because Dior is definitely one of my most favorite brands. I think even though they are becoming a little bit more and more redundant each season, it's still a brand that I am drawn to. But if I could only choose one piece, or let me cheat, a couple of pieces, I would say to look into the Lady Dior. If that's a bag that you haven't toyed around with, I would definitely suggest that you look at it. I think it's incredibly underrated and even understated. But if you appreciate a more subtle, elegant, refined look, the Lady Dior is a beautiful bag to look into. As the name suggests, it is quite ladylike. So if you don't like a traditionally ladylike bag, it's not going to be for you. No matter how much I love it, unfortunately, it doesn't suit me and it doesn't suit my style, but I'll continue appreciating it from the far and of course recommending it to you guys. So I would definitely suggest that that's something that you at least give a thing. If you want to get a piece of ready-to-wear from Dior, there's no better piece to buy than the bar jacket, which revolutionized fashion as people knew it when it first launched. I think it's an incredibly unique shape that is really quite flattering on most. It is quite a feminine shape, so the goal of this piece is to hug and emphasize the female shape and curves. So if that's not a look that you appreciate, it's not going to be for you. But if you do, there's nothing quite like it. And even if it doesn't suit you, you cannot go wrong with Dior tailoring. Tailoring and the Lady Dior are the two pieces that I don't think you can go wrong with when it comes to the house of Dior. Next up is Louis Vuitton, which I didn't want to be rude and not include them here, but I really don't see as a real luxury brand at this point. I don't know how, I think I mentioned this before, but to me, Louis Vuitton almost feels mass-produced. I don't know why that is. I know that they're still incredibly popular because I haven't seen a Louis Vuitton store that didn't have a huge queue of people in front of it pretty much anytime I walk past one. But it's just not a brand that I would consider the most luxurious at this point, unless we're talking travel essentials, because I think Louis Vuitton is still just unmatched when it comes to some of the travel pieces that they create. So if you're going to spend your money on Louis Vuitton, I would say buy a vanity case, buy a duffel bag, or buy one of their trunks, which is definitely the only piece I would consider at this point. So if I have to choose one piece, I would say buy a Louis Vuitton trunk, but I know that they are so insanely expensive that if you want to play around with the brand before you make a larger investment, definitely check out their vanity cases and their travel essentials, because those are pieces that I still think are synonymous with luxury travel. Even though I do have a library of videos full of Hermes recommendations, I thought we could end this video with another one because I don't think that there is anything better than this piece when it comes to Hermes. I feel like if you're looking for your next or your first Hermes purchase, this is one that I would highly suggest that you look into, which I feel like some of you will be able to guess. Can you guess what piece I would recommend to buy from Hermes if you can only buy one piece? Well, it is going to be the Kelly wallet. I think it's one of those pieces that can cover all your bases. Yes, it's an expensive piece, but it is one that will do so many different jobs so seamlessly. It can be used obviously as a wallet inside of other bags. You can use it as a bag on its own. You can use it as a clutch bag, as a crossbody bag, as a belt bag. It's just one of those pieces that you can do pretty much anything with. The only limit is how creative you want to be. I wouldn't go for the Kelly to go or any other iterations of it. I would just pick up the classic traditional Kelly wallet in a leather and in a color that suits you. Obviously, I would probably suggest going for Epsom just because it's a piece that I'm hopeful you'll be able to enjoy and abuse. So I would probably opt for Epsom because I know that's going to be the most hard wearing, especially when it comes to a piece that you will handle as much as a wallet. But if you can only buy one piece from Hermes, make it the Kelly wallet. It's going to be one of the best investments you'll ever make into your wardrobe. And this actually brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed this new format. If you did, please let me know by giving this video a thumbs up and letting me know in the comment section if you'd like to see a part 2, a part 3, what other brands you'd like me to touch on. And please do share your thoughts. Do you agree with my recommendations? Is there anything that you would love to add? Feel free to jump in and join the conversation. And while you're down there, make sure you don't forget to subscribe. But this was it for today. I appreciate you being here and watching, and I hope to see you back here with a new video really, really soon.